Madhouse Podcasting Network.
Watch this.
See, that's what I'm talking about, man. No.
But that's only if I lean forward. If I sit back like this,
Yeah.
it's too dark.
Oh, can you pull the lamp closer to the edge of the desk?
It's not gonna matter.
You're not.
Because if I pull it this way, it's gonna wash out the right side of my face.
It won't actually.
Yes, it will.
The camera will adjust.
If I do this, it's totally gonna wash out my face, just like you're worried about. It's better with this light on anyway overhead because it's even.
Yeah, but
You're
darker in the front.
I got no shadows, bitch. Look at you.
I look good.
Your shadow like this right
It's
here.
because of my hat.
Fucking Batman face.
Hat.
So I got a hat on.
Here, I'll do it like this.
Yeah, you're gonna be like. So yeah,
See, if I don't slouch, I'll be fine. So if I just do this, kind of works out.
If I do this, I'll be fine.
Should I do that with you?
I always do this.
Dude, we're like fucking kids, man.
I know.
All right.
My desk chair sucks though. I need to get a new one that's better, more comfortable. I hate it.
All right, dude. Here we are, episode 4, right?
4.
Wow. We're on a roll. I think I said that on part 2 that we were on a roll.
Well, yeah, because we only had to film it 4 times
Oh no.
to get it right.
Well, we're episode 4. If you guys are watching this, thank you for sticking with us this far.
Damn, 4 episodes in and people are still
It
watching.
means you're interested, and that's
Hopefully.
that's kind of cool.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
Yeah.
If they don't, man, it's just entertaining for us.
Yeah, I know.
You know. So.
Yeah.
This episode, we're talking about. We're going to continue with Scott's journey, and his journey into going from scare actor to management.
That's kind of crazy, huh?
How did that happen? Like, why did you decide to hang up your costume and mask and go into management?
Well, you know what's weird is that I didn't really decide to hang up my costume in its entirety, but I did feel like it was time for me to take the next step and move into, management and supervise the talent instead. And it's weird because I thought about it more than a few years before I actually did it. I actually moved into management in 2010 for the first time.
Okay.
And I still had my stuff, and I worked it out to where I could do one night, run around as a scary guy. But for me, it was just a natural progression. I'm like, okay, I think it's time to take on the next step and, see what challenges are in that role.
Right.
And it was kind of cool because I ran Ghost Town for the most of my monster career. And then I actually became supervisor for the same area.
Which is pretty cool.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your first year in that position. What was your biggest fear?
Well, I didn't really have a fear so much I just had some concerns. And the funny thing is, when I first thought about it, I actually went in and spoke to Craig. And I said, hey, Craig, I know you guys don't have anybody for Ghost Town yet, and I'm interested in the role. And we talked for about 30 minutes, and Craig had his concerns too, naturally, right? I said, well, I want to put those concerns to rest. I think because I have experience in the zone, I'll have a better insight of what's really happening, and I'll be able to decipher a little bit better what is true and what is fake on both sides, whether it's coming from a guest story or the talent story.
Right.
And he says, well, okay. And he's like, well, let me talk to Laura. And Laura at the time was the one she was in charge of Haunt. So he gave her a call, and she said 100% absolutely send him over to my office, because I was at an entertainment office where Craig's office was. and her office was back by Warehouse P. So I walked back there and talked to her for a little bit. And, she's kind of wanted to get an insight on me. And she's like, so you really want to do this? I said, yeah. I go, I think it's time for me to make the next step. And she's like, okay, let's get you on board. And that's how it worked out. At that point, I wasn't a cast lead yet. I was a TC. And so it was a little bit different. It wasn't so much hands-on with developing new talent or helping people become better at their role. It was more about making sure they were doing their jobs, keeping moving, and trying to stay out of trouble, and then also doing the time cards. Holy cow.
Oh gosh.
Time cards and checking people out. That was heinous. I mean, obviously I wasn't the only one. I had a team of 3 others, but it was crazy.
Right.
Because it was all ka-ching. We had to write them in, so, and we tried to do the best we could. So Craig wouldn't have a condition. We brought it back to him. So at the end, like Sunday nights, those were long nights, dude, of every week, because we'd have to do time cards and then bring them to him. So I wouldn't get at it until like 3, sometimes 4 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. So, and that was just for that. So, but what's funny is that, well, we'll get to that, but that's kind of where I was in 2010. And then,
well, were you worried that, like, because obviously you were going to be leading, your fellow monsters.
yeah.
Did you have a fear that they weren't gonna respect you in that role, or
it crossed my mind, but I didn't think it was gonna be an issue, simply because they now had somebody that was, well, they had people like that in the role before with Kenny and Kenny.
Yeah.
So, but it crossed my mind, but I didn't think it was really going to be that much of an issue. And then when I had the first group conversation with them, I said, guys, this is about business, type of thing. I go, I don't care if we're friends or family or whatever. If you mess up, you're going to get treated accordingly.
Right.
And if you do great, you're going to get told you're doing great.
And that's when they said, Scott's a dick, and I don't know.
He's a giant douche.
Scott's a sellout. He just wants to boss us around. Blah, blah.
Yeah, kind of. I'm sure that was out there, but I don't care.
Yeah, I remember someone told me that. I don't remember. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. No one told me.
So
you your first year you did talent captain.
Uh-huh.
You were basically time card bitch.
Kind of, yeah. I was out there every night though, walking. I was making sure I was visible.
Yeah.
So in case they needed anything, the talent or whatever, and made sure I was visible, because at that time we had to wear those god awful yellow shirts.
Right.
So having a yellow shirt, having a yellow shirt and walking around out there makes you visible to the guests. They think twice sometimes about doing stupid shit.
Right. Right. Did you your first year? Did you have any like major incidences that you can remember or that stick out?
Nothing that I can really recall super major. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's like, okay, a guest does something stupid, you see it, you pull them aside, you chat with them a little bit. But we didn't have an issue where guess what? It's time for you to go.
Yeah.
Not the first year.
Okay.
So, but it was a good year, good first start. I liked it, and then kind of evaluated for the next year. It's funny because actually the next year I managed a different event.
That's right. You left and you did the Hollywood.
Haunted Hollywood Sports. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So.
So you leave Knots.
Yeah, it was a unique opportunity. That's why I went.
Okay.
Over there. That was John Cook's first offering.
Okay.
With doing a haunted attraction thing, and this is before Plague Productions, or like from where he was then to where he is now is night and day. Night and day.
No, of course.
Yeah. So I mean, he reached out to me, and it's funny. He reached out to me and Wade.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and we talked about it, and so we went down there and talked to him. It's like, yeah, and they're like, okay, we're gonna pay. It wasn't much, but we did it. And I said, this is the role I want. He's like, okay. And Wade went in as talent, and I went in as talent supervisor there for the majority was streets, but I actually oversaw the entire event
Okay.
for the talent. So I had to go through every single attraction every night, which is awesome because you get to see how people perform or lack thereof.
Right.
So
And it also, and that was obviously mazes as well as street, or was it
yeah,
just mazes?
yeah, mazes on the paintball
Right.
fields, and then we had a bunch of street talent as well.
Okay.
So the only areas I was hands off on were the airsoft fields. They had their own crew there because you got to have somebody that really knows the ins and outs of that and how to lead that.
Yeah.
So that was hands off for me. But everything else I kept an eye on. So that was pretty fun. It was rough, but it was fun.
So, two totally different events.
Yeah, big time.
In the sense of in the sense of scale.
Oh yeah.
So, what were the two major differences between those?
Well, the biggest thing was for me was the sheer size and numbers of staffing.
Okay.
Because in 2010 I was overseeing 2 zones. Like as of the second or third weekend in, I don't remember which, I was already overseeing both Ghost Town and CS.
Right.
So there was something that happened with one of their leads over there, and Craig gave me a call and it's like, can you do this? And so I took it on myself, and it was I think it was 180 bodies total between the 2 zones. So it was a little bit crazy. And then going to Hollywood Sports, I don't remember the number, but I think it was right around 100 maybe.
Oh, wow.
So it was and having, it may not seem like a big difference, but it definitely is.
Yeah.
When you got 180 plus to down to right around 100, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing. And the second thing was, Knott's is very established already. They were in double digits already in their years. I can't even remember what year that was for the haunt. It was in the 30s, I think.
Okay.
And was it? Yeah, 2010. Yeah, 30s, late 30s. And Hollywood Sports was in their infant stages. It was their first year doing a full scale haunt.
Oh, wow.
The year before that, they only did a haunted paintball attraction, and that was it. And it was only for a few nights, from what I understand.
Oh, wow.
So then they tried to do this, and it was, like I said, it was a definite different dichotomy. And everybody at almost every single talent at Hollywood Sports is volunteer.
So you get the difference between getting a volunteer as opposed to somebody that's getting paid. What was your biggest differences on those two?
Well, on the volunteer side, yeah, they're volunteers, and they want to be able to do more things, but you got to tell them, yeah, you're a volunteer here, which we understand, which I understand, but you still have a job to do. You volunteered for this position willingly, so we still need you to execute at a certain level.
Right.
So there was more conversations with that, with certain staff members. I mean, some of the guys like, dude, we don't care. We're here to scare.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because a lot of the guys I had there, I helped them get their start. I fostered some of their growth, and they ended up actually going over to Knott's. Some are working build now. Some are still talent. Some have gone beyond that.
Oh, wow.
So it was cool to see their growth, and what they were into doing.
Right.
That's a big thing for me now, is just watching talent that I work with grow and be something even greater than I thought they could be.
Oh, yeah.
That still resonates to this day for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Cook is a prime example. I mean,
yeah,
he wasn't talent under you, but
no, but
he goes
yeah,
talent to where he's at now is just an amazing journey. So
yeah, and it's always good. It's always good to work with him, even though it was a big pain in my ass in his younger years. It's been great to work with him.
Yeah.
Love the guy to death too. He's always super humble.
Yeah. I can imagine how many pain in the asses that you had though. So
yeah. Well, he was a pain in my ass before I was even in management. So I always tell that story. So
well, we can tell that story if we ever get him on the podcast.
Yeah, that's gonna be like pulling teeth. That boy's so busy.
So you okay, so yeah, so when you left there, Hollywood Sports, where'd you go after that?
Funny thing is, I didn't work any haunt solidly, but it was kind of weird because I still, even though I wasn't on the quote unquote roster for the entire run, I was still there for a handful of nights, both 2013 or 2012 and 2013 as talent.
At Knott's?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So because it worked out that way because I was a train bandit too.
Oh, okay.
So, but I was able to come in and work, a handful of nights as scary guy. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So it was pretty cool. And
Well, I can
that's
imagine.
kind of
I can imagine that balance is probably fun. Going from having to manage a team of either good or potential pitas.
Yeah.
And going to
pitas.
pain in the asses.
Oh, duh.
To being a monster and just letting all that aggression out, which is being a monster is really good at that. So.
Yeah.
I can imagine that was a pretty easy balance and helped you. Each one kind of helped you get past the other one.
I not come to think of it, we're backtracking a little bit, but the biggest transition I had to make that was kind of tough was going from talent to manager. Now overseeing the guys I've worked with for years is talking to them and get them to understand how to ride the line of the rules without going over to the bad side.
Right.
So doing your job to maximum effectiveness without getting in trouble.
Right.
So that was probably the toughest part. But once you get that cycle going, it becomes easier and easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But it probably helped too because you were at one point that person.
Exactly.
Riding that line.
Exactly.
so that probably helped you a little bit.
Yeah, it did. And that's what I had to teach a lot of guys, even vets that I worked with back in the day. I won't name names, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about you. So.
The stories.
Yeah, but So that was one of those things, and being a part of that event for so many years, it worked to my benefit too, because for lack of a better term, I had eyes all over the park. So if something happened with one of my guys, I would get a call, either a text message, a phone call, or somebody call me on the radio, or they would talk to me at the end of the night or the beginning of the next day. And then say, hey, this is so-and-so did this. This is where they were. So, I have to address that when that comes up. So it's one of those things, riding the line without crossing it.
Right.
So that proved to be interesting sometimes.
So that 1 year when you did Hollywood Sports,
Mm-hmm.
You did both Monster and at Knott's as well as management.
Not at Hollywood Sports. I was strictly at Hollywood Sports. Yeah.
You did management at Hollywood Sports.
Yeah, that. Yeah, I wasn't scary guy that year at all.
Okay. That first year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the second year you did Hollywood Sports again?
No, I only did Hollywood Sports in 2011.
Okay, so when you were talking about you did Monster, you were back at Knott's doing management.
Correct. I was
okay.
When I went back to Knott's 2012, 2013, I was train banditing.
Okay.
But like I said, I was there still I could go in as do a scary guy for, a handful of nights, which was kind of cool. I mean, was able to go out there and kind of run around and be crazy. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go home.
Nice.
So I got my scares in. I'm not gonna lie, you don't see that really much anymore, but I got lucky.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, it's not like that's the first time that's ever happened. We had management go out. I know the two Kennys would go out
all the time. Yeah.
So
Kenny Klein would go out Kenny Clark would go out as the duck.
Yep.
And then the other Kenny was Bone Daddy, the blacksmith.
Yep.
Hence again, that's why I was the apprentice.
Right, and he wore the same mask that we wore. Same skull mask.
No, his was a little bit different.
I think
that was an updated version of it.
I think he still got it from the same company though.
Yeah, Jargon, whatever.
Zargon,
yeah.
I don't know the name of that company. But
yeah.
They've been around for years, and they got really freaking cool masks.
Are they still around?
They're still around, dude. I bought the skeleton mask like not too long ago because I came across them I
gotta look them up now, dude.
Yeah, dude. You go look them up. Look at their website. You will see a crap ton of old haunt faces.
Oh, I bet.
Brett Asplin's face, his mask.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. His
Dude, so
prosthetic?
no, he wore there was a few times he wore a mask, I believe, but it looks like, at least it looks like it. I don't know. I
Yeah.
thought it was, but you see, what's his name?
Do you know who did have our
Jim?
face? Oh yeah, Jim Agnello.
Jim
Yeah.
Agnello, his face.
Yeah.
Dude, a ton of them. A ton.
Jody
Yeah. Yeah.
started, yeah. So
yeah, there's a ton. You look on there, it's like, oh, that was, somebody wore that, somebody wore that. It's pretty awesome.
you know who did run the exact same mask we had
Who?
for years? Chopper.
Chopper did too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
He had the hair way back here on it.
Yep.
We're getting totally off topic,
Anyways.
I know, but yeah.
So, okay, so you said 2013, 2014, right?
2012, 2013. 2014 is when I got back in the mix for full-time management.
Okay.
And it's kind of weird because initially I reached out to John again and I said, hey, you got any positions open for squad leader for infected?
Oh, okay.
And he's like, I got one. Do you want it? I said, yeah. He's like, you got to come down right now. I said, okay, I'll be there in 15 minutes. And when I get there, I walk into the, this is kind of a shitty part for the people that were standing there, but I walk into the employment center and it was like perfect timing. I walk in, he's walking out of the audition area.
Oh, nice.
He sees me, he's like, hey, come here. I wasn't even in there 30 seconds.
Oh, nice.
So everybody that's sitting in there waiting for whatever with their applications, they're looking at me like, who the fuck is this guy? Right? I felt bad, but at the same time, I wasn't applying for something that they were.
Yeah.
He's like, so here's a scenario for you. I have the squad leader position still, and you can have that if you want it, but we just had the cast lead fall out for Ghost Town, and that's now available. Do you want it? I said, yes. He's like, okay, hang out right here. I'll be right back.
Nice.
Goes back in the back. Not 2 minutes after that, I hear the door open, and Brooke goes, Dieterman, get in here.
Nice.
So again, people are looking at him like, who the fuck is this guy?
Right.
So I go back there and Tiger's like, so Ghost Town cast lead's open. You want it? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, you're hired.
Dope.
She's like, come back whenever you can to do the paperwork. I got hired on late, so I didn't get to do any of the preemptive stuff that I did in the years, preceding that.
Yeah.
And I walk out of there without even having to do anything. And I felt bad for those people in there, but at the same time, again, I wasn't applying for the same thing as they were.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into the cast lead position, which I think was a perfect fit.
Yeah.
And it's funny though, because that came to fruition, I believe, in 2012, 2013. Don't quote me on that thing. I want to say 2012.
Okay.
And the funny thing is I presented the idea to Craig in 2005, the idea of that.
Wow.
Yeah. And it never, I mean, people will probably say I'm full of shit. I don't care. It's fact. I asked him about it. We had like a 30-minute conversation about it.
Yeah.
But it just didn't get put into fruition until obviously much later.
So at this time, was Craig gone or was he still there?
Craig was still there. In 2014, he was still there, but he had a much lesser role.
Yeah, because I know they were kind of like chopping him each year.
Yeah. In 2015, we'll get to that, but in 2015, we had a conversation about that. It's kind of funny. So 2014 was the year I was really like, okay, now I can actually get my hands on and really work with a talent and help them develop. And also, I was immediately put in charge of all slider certification.
Nice.
I was in charge of it too in 2010, but not on as big of a scale.
Yeah.
And then 2014 came in and they said, okay, we need you to take care of all of that. I said, okay, that's fine. I'll test. Everybody needs to be tested for the park, run them through the scope. I'll pull my team, the people I want to run the test, but I'll make all final decisions.
Right.
And they're like, okay. And that stuck until I decided to move away.
Right. Which was
So 2016 was my last year. And that's when I decided to fly across the country and live back east for a year. So
when you went back east, you actually had some potential haunt.
yes.
So talk about that and what happened on that.
Okay.
aspect.
So we're going to jump forward and then go back again.
Oh no, we can go back. I thought you were. I'm sorry.
Okay. No. Well, no.
You're talking about
I was just
flying
saying.
east, and I'm like, okay, let's go there.
Yeah.
Okay. We can go back. Go back.
So and then 2015 comes around, get a call. Hey, we're assuming you want the role for casting Ghost. And I said, yeah, I'll be back. I said, okay, so here's what we need you to do. And I got all the paperwork done. And that's when I actually got to, I wasn't able to do it in 2014 because I got hired on late, but this time I got hired on with enough time and I got brought on and I was able to pretty much select all of my talent. Any spots we had filled that were left over,
Yeah.
I got to handpick people by what I thought was what we needed and what potential I saw, which was super rad because I knew what the area needed.
Yeah.
So doing that, and the thing is too, is like a lot of people knew I was already coming back. So like, oh, I'm going to audition for Ghost Town, friends or not, if you don't have what I'm looking for, I'm not going to pick you.
Yeah, of course.
And does it suck? Of course it does, but I'm not just going to pick them because they're friends.
Right.
And it's funny because there's a couple of people that, I was close to. One I still see on a regular basis. I had to turn them down because what they presented wasn't what I was looking for.
At the audition.
Yeah, at the auditions, and they were both upset, but they understood.
Right.
They got that. So go ahead.
So, if I wanted to ask you, talk about the audition process.
Yeah.
Okay, because they really went into they started making everybody audition every year. The whole rehire card, like when you and I were going back in, when we were in the back, Monster back in the day.
Yeah.
We had rehire cards that they would mail to us, obviously.
Yeah.
So, for those of you watching, when back in the day, back in the 90s, 2000s up to, you may know the actual day they started, the date or year they started doing this, but we would get a rehire card every year, roughly about May, June, July, roughly.
Yeah.
About. So, and they would, it'd be like, yeah, you're coming back to Ghost Town, you're coming back to wherever, or, if, and that would guarantee your spot. You'd go to rehire,
Yeah.
do your process, and you're pretty much guaranteed your spot as long as you performed the year before.
Correct.
So, they changed it. I don't know the year they changed it, but they started making it to where they made everybody audition every year.
Yeah.
Regardless of not whether you kicked butt, you had to audition. And if you had streets one year and you didn't perform your audition the next year, they were not putting you back on streets. So my question to you is, I have my thoughts on that, but how did you feel about that? Because you were a part of that. At this point, your management, and you were a part of it.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Well, for me, I thought it was kind of weird in the sense of, okay, this guy crushed it last year. He shouldn't have to re-audition, period.
Right.
So for me, when I evaluated, because it's weird, I like from 14 to 15, I remembered every single person, and I knew exactly their performance level. It's like, okay. And so when we sat down in 2015 to do auditions, if a person crushed it for me the year before and their audition wasn't good, I would still take them because I knew exactly what they were going to deliver. I knew what to expect from them. So their audition in that scope for me was a formality because I knew it. Here's the thing. Everybody doesn't audition well, but I know if I know what they're going to deliver when they're in the environment, even though they bomb their audition, I'm going to take them because I know they're going to do what I need them to do, period.
Exactly.
Yeah. What I also did too is during the course of the run is that I would actually go to other zones and through all the other mazes and stuff and walk through and see if there's anybody in there that has potential. And if there was, I would pull their cast lead aside and say, hey, who is this person in this room? And talk to them about it. And it's like, hey, this person's got potential. They should try to audition for Streets next year.
Right.
I'd keep their name in a notebook, which a lot of people didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird because a lot of people, here's what I didn't like. When I went through mazes, a lot of people knew who I was.
Right.
So instead of doing what they normally do, I could clearly see that they were trying to amp up their level.
Yeah.
And that bothered me. It's like, dude, just do what you normally do. I want to see how you react and, how you respond in the environment.
Which was a big problem with the yellow shirts.
Yeah. But see, at that point, 14, 15, 16, I was already like in 14 and 15, I was in a black tech shirt.
Yeah.
And then in 16, I wore my own long sleeve shirt.
Right.
Whatever color. It was just dark though. Like the only way people knew at that point, one, because they recognized me, but they didn't recognize me. The only thing they could look at is my name badge.
Right.
Because you can't see my radio when I'm coming at you.
Right.
So And that was one thing I wasn't a fan of, but like when you go in there and guys are doing their normal thing and they're working it, if I see something I like, I'll stand in that room for a good 5-10 minutes
Right.
and watch them interact and see what they do. Same thing with some of these street guys, like, some mazes, they have people outside, right?
Yeah.
There was this one guy, this black kid, he was really good. He was working in, it wasn't the depths, it was the one before that, Voodoo.
Okay.
And he was working the entrance. And I kept hearing noise because I was coming around the corner from, how everybody goes to the back where Ghost Rider is, beyond Ghost Rider exit where they had the other mazes.
Yeah.
I kept hearing sounds like clip clopping from steel toes and sliding.
Mm-hmm.
And his slides were short too, like boom, and that's it, right? But I kept hearing people screaming like crazy. I'm like, where the hell is that coming from? So I came up the trick or treat side and I went down the walkway and I see him. So I'm standing there hiding behind the fence, watching this kid crush it.
Nice.
He was flooring people. And so I can't remember who was the lead in there. I asked them who the kid was and they told me. So I actually pulled him aside on his break and I talked to him a little bit and I said, and I just told him, I go, you are killing it out here. You're insane. I go, I'll tell you right now, you need to audition for Streets. I go, if I was going to be here next year and you audition for me, I would take you.
Yeah.
Because he was that good. He was already in an open environment because he was working outside. So it would be a natural progression for him to go to a bigger area and just annihilate it.
That's cool.
I don't know whatever happened to him because like I said, that was 2016. 2017, I was gone. I hope he would have made Streets.
Right.
But the kid was great.
Wow.
So there's all those things. Like anytime I see potential, I would do what I could to get these guys on the radar and say, hey, they need to audition for Streets next year.
Right.
So, and it worked out. For me, 2016 was probably the best year.
Yeah.
Even though it was my last year. I mean, I think I had more, like you were saying, have any problems.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had more issues in those 3 years than I did in 2010 because 2010 was pretty quiet.
Right.
With, guest issues. Like there was a handful of times where we had guests escorted out the gate for being overly aggressive and physically assaulting talent.
Yeah. It's inevitable.
Yeah. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's the nature of the beast. We get it, but it's like, okay, guess what? It's time to go.
Yeah.
And that's how the cookie crumbles, so
2016 was your last ghost town.
Correct.
So that's basically your last Spirit Farm years.
That was, I guess you could say, my farewell.
Your fair, yeah, because you left, and then that's when you went to Mass.
Yeah, that's when I moved out to Boston.
Awesome, right?
And
so tell me about this potential event you were going to work out there.
Okay.
Like what happened with that? Because I know it fell through.
Yeah, it did. Well, yeah, it was kind of a
short story.
shitty timing. It's shitty timing, but so I went out there and I'd already been thinking, okay, I'm going to go apply for this place. And the event was called Canopy Lake in New Hampshire,
okay,
which is about 30 minutes. Cause I don't know if you know, like everything on the East Coast, Mass, New Hampshire, they're all super tight.
Yeah.
You drive 15 minutes and you're in the next state.
Right. Yeah.
So it was only about really small. So it was about a 30-minute drive.
Okay.
And I submitted my resume and I called a few times to make sure they got it, and they got it. So I actually ended up going in and sitting down with them for their haunt event and talking to one of the management team there. And the interview was about an hour and a half. It was crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he wanted to know everything, and which I totally understood. I go, I'm an out-of-towner coming here and I want to come in and be a supervisor, management. And the position I wanted was for their street talent.
Okay.
Basically another high-profile area. And what the guy said was, he's like, well, we don't bring in somebody from the outside to manage, to be a manager for this event. He's like, but he's like, you have a ton of experience here, and I really like that. And he's like, so at the end of the interview, he's like, let me sit down with my crew and talk to them and see what they think. So I said, okay, great. I hope to hear from you soon. 2 weeks go by, nothing. 3 weeks go by. At the same time, I'm looking for a job, right?
Yeah.
I ended up landing a job at Costco out there, which was a huge mistake. And I'm driving to my first day of work, and this is in another city that was 30 minutes away from me.
Right.
It's weird because it was in the same state, but the same distance away as the next state over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm driving to my first day of work at Costco, and I get a call. Hey, Scott, this is so-and-so from Canopy Lake. We'd love to offer you the position that we discussed a couple weeks ago. Please give me a call back and let me know.
Oh, wow.
I had to call him back and decline.
Because of Costco?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And, hindsight, I shouldn't have done that. I should have just not worked Costco because I ended up getting hurt there.
Right.
And it kind of sucked. So who knows what would have happened? If I got on at Canopy Lake, I could, you never know. I could still be living out there instead of back here in California.
Maybe.
So
I know Midwest haunts and East Coast haunts, like they're really small.
Yeah.
And they, they're pro haunts, but a lot of them are pro haunts, but they're a very tight knit crew and they're family. So
I was trying to infiltrate basically.
Yeah, I can see they're pretty weary on bringing outsiders in, but again, the experience says it all.
Yeah.
So.
And what I was trying to do too was they had a very small group of sliders there. I think they had 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
And I also told them, I know you have sliders here, and that's a big forte of mine. I would love to help develop that and grow that group. I can train anybody and get them up to speed and get them ready and safe for an event.
Right.
So that was a big selling point for them too. But it is what it is. I made choices. All those choices are made for a reason.
Yeah.
Whether good or bad. So
Well, that with that situation, you ended up coming back.
Yeah. I don't regret living out there, but it just didn't work out to my plan.
No, of course. Like you try something new and it doesn't work out.
Yeah, exactly.
We did the same thing. We made it work, but
yeah.
Is it technically working? It is now.
Yeah.
But
took a little bit to get settled.
That's drastically going to end because of COVID, but you always need to try something. You never know what's going to happen. But it wasn't a wasted year, obviously.
No, it would have been awesome to work that event though.
Yeah, of course.
So it would be great to go back and check it out while they're live.
So did you go see events out there while you were there?
I wanted to, but my roommates didn't really want to do it. And it's like, dude, it's funner when you go with people.
It is.
I'm kind of bummed because Mass has some of the best fucking pro haunts around.
Yeah.
Not to mention, dude, Salem, Massachusetts. I did go into Salem a couple of times, like where they had the witch trials and the burning at the stake. That house still stands.
Yep.
So we drove by that, checked it out. It's funny because the first time we went, I was on Tattoo Shop Recon.
Oh, nice.
We were looking for shops to go to.
Nice.
To get some work done, and I never found one that I was really comfortable with. I was like, hey, this is where I want to get my next piece done. So
that's a tough decision.
Yeah. I'm not saying the shops were bad because they weren't. It just I didn't see what I wanted to see to be like, hey, I want one of their artists to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
all right, so you leave Mass, Boston, and you come back to Buena Park.
Yep.
And did you try to go back to Knott's? I
did. I interviewed with them, but they decided to go a different direction for their event, which, in all intents and purposes, that's their decision, Right. It's their sandbox. Right. So what ended up happening though is I got in over at Queen Mary's Dark Harbor. I thought it was kind of weird though, because again, John Cook comes back in the story because I get a text from him 3 hours after I got a decline from Knott's. So, you want to come and work Dark Harbor this year? And I'm like, what do you mean? And it was a brief text conversation. I go, wait a minute. Like I talked to him later and I said, you knew I didn't get a spot at Knott's, didn't you? He's like, what do you mean? I go, you fucker. That's why he reached out to me, because he heard.
Oh, okay.
So
that was the year he did both, right?
Yeah, he was in charge of all the creativity at Dark Harbor.
Right.
So it was, again, perfect timing,
But was that the first year he did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So him and his team, as Plague Productions,
right,
went in there. So And at that point, he'd already been going for a couple of years from what I remember. So I get this call and he's like, yeah, okay. Yeah. He's like, come down, dude. You need to apply. I said, all right. So instead of doing that first, I reached out to David Wally, who was the guy that was in charge of the talent management team.
Okay.
Basically, that team was overseeing all the talent event wide.
Okay.
You know, all the special talent, stage, everything. And so I actually I reached out to him through Facebook because I didn't have any other contact info for him. And I said, hey, David, I don't know if you remember me. I'm just wondering, I heard you guys have a spot available and I'd like to be considered. I'd like to interview for it. And he already knew who I was. Like, I 100% remember you. And get this is from a 10-minute conversation I had with him 2 years prior in 2016 when I helped spearhead Sliders Unite.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, seriously, that guy has a photographic memory.
Nice.
You know, to this day, I still work with him, and I'm so grateful for the opportunities that he's given me. So I have probably a 15-minute conversation with him. He's like, you know, I don't have a position now. He's like, but I'm really encouraging you to go in, to apply and go in and speak with Victor. He was the guy that was in charge of all the supervision for the mazes. So I got a call from him. It was like a week later, I think. I got a call from him. Again, I probably sat with him for about 45 minutes to an hour. And then from what I understand, that they were doing interviews in every 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So I guess he just wanted to get as much information as he could. And so he's like, okay, I'll get back to you. You know, we'll call you and let you know. And unbeknownst to me, after that, he called David.
Oh, nice.
And from what I understand, he told David, you need to hire this guy. I can't utilize everything he brings to the table.
For mazes.
Yeah.
Right. And
so again, timing, it works out. The person that handled streets the year before fell out.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
David says, so it turns out that, you know, he's like, I talked to Victor and he said, I could use you. He's like, turns out that the streets position's open. Do you want it? I said, yes. And he's like, I know your background, so I want you to really really take over how things are going with the sliders. I said, done.
Nice.
We'll do that. So, you know, he and I talked a number of times and kind of hashed things out and figured out, okay, this is what needs to be done. And went forward with them for 2 years and then COVID hit. You know, so yeah,
literally history.
Yeah. And again, with that, the caveat there too, or the biggest difference from managing any other haunt events to Dark Harbor is the number of staffing that I was overseeing. Like at Dark Harbor, I had 40.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and that was all the street people. That included stage shows, all that stuff.
Oh, interesting.
You know, and the sliders. Yeah.
That's interesting that you actually had the stage show too.
Yeah, well, I was just the supervisor for the stage performers. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But they were pretty much self-sufficient, so I didn't really need to do too much. I would just check in with them. Hey, how's it going? Everything good?
Yeah. Type
of thing. My David wanted me to focus more of my energy on the sliders and the non-stage show talent, the non-sliders. So being that, hey, you know, he wanted me to do a lot of work with the sliders. And that's what I ended up doing. So, you know, working there and doing that it's been awesome. You know, I mean, like I said, he's in the short amount of time that I've worked there, I've gotten so many opportunities thrown my way. So I'm super grateful. So David, if you happen to see this, thanks again. I know I sent you a super long text message, but just want to thank you again for everything you've thrown in my lap. Much appreciated. So
you, well, I guess we can probably talk about the stuff that you did in Orlando, but we're going to have a slider episode.
Yeah, well, I'll just touch on it a little bit.
Okay, so tell me about that.
Okay, so it's twofold. Actually, I had been able to go out there twice now. So because of working with him, 2019, I was sent out for their sister event, Dark Horizon, to select and train a new slider team for that show. And initially that was going to be like, hey, they're just going to send people from here, a bunch of people, and pay them and do whatever. I said, well, I can. And so I just sat down with him and I said to him, well, I can help you save some money on this and still get the training done you needed. He's like, how's that? I said, why don't you send the two of us out there? Lee was with me at the time because we had to go. We were actually going in to talk about the slider team for Dark Harbor. And he's like, that's a great idea. He's like, let me see what I can do. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I think it was less than 2 weeks later. He's like, well, we worked it out. You guys are going to Florida. Yeah. So we worked on that, and that turned out great. I still talk to the majority of the team to this day out there, and it's been awesome. You know, I have been able to, since that, I mean, David has helped get my business off the ground.
That's good.
Yeah.
Which
you know,
which
so
we'll talk about
yeah.
slider dynamics later.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much what kickstarted it.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Let's backtrack on that just a little bit. I have been thinking about that for the better part of 10 years.
Oh.
Trying to start something up like this, and now it's actually coming to fruition.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I don't want to get too in detail with it. I'll talk about it more when we actually talk about sliding and slider dynamics, my company.
Right.
You know, but other than that, it's been great. You know, I mean, but what I can tell you too is like being a monster and then moving into management, being a monster for so many years taught me a great deal of patience.
Oh, I can imagine.
You know, and that is applied in the real world too. There's a lot of real world lessons that you learn at knots. You don't even realize it until it gets put into effect in the outside world.
Right.
You know, and being in a role that I was in, you have to have patience for both, quote unquote, the stupidity of guests and the stuff that the talent does.
It's just, I was just about to say, well, don't forget the stupidity of the talent.
Yeah, on both sides. You know, I mean, let's face it, everybody's done stupid shit.
We've all done stupid shit. We still do stupid shit.
Yeah. You know, if you just got to minimize it.
Just watch the podcast. We always do stupid shit.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny too, because since I've been on at Queen Mary, it wasn't something that I anticipated or thought was going to happen, but I've been heavily connected still with the QM slider team. And for lack of a better term, I manage them too. You know,
right.
Just trying to keep them on the right path, doing the right thing, you know, making sure like, hey, if they go to other events, they represent, you know, not only themselves, but their team and the Queen Mary in a positive light.
Right. Right. Because they're using the QM for their name. So,
and every time they go to other events, they're wearing their quote unquote cut, you know, they're wearing their logos and stuff. So it's like, you know, if it's not just you anymore, it's a bigger picture.
Yeah, and we don't know if Queen Mary's coming back, so you know.
Yeah, we still haven't had any word.
But not this year, but I'm saying in general. So you know, it's
fingers crossed that it does.
Yeah, so they got to represent and keep that good name, you know, because they're basically the face of that event right now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I encourage them because we haven't heard a definite, but we all know that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, we're less than 3 months out. There's no way.
No.
I just encourage them to apply at other events. So I go, if you want to get the scare in, apply at other events and do it now, so you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
You know, but what we didn't touch on is this year I accepted a job at LA Hayride, Planet Hayride.
Which was going to be my last question.
Yeah. So sorry, I jumped the gun.
You jumped the gun.
That's going to be a hell of a drive.
Yeah.
But
so let's talk about that. So this year, 2021. You're this season you're going to be at Hayride.
Yeah. So again, John Cook is involved in that.
Of course, you know.
Because now he's a creative director for 13th Floor Entertainment, who owns the Hayride and multiple haunts across the country.
With no Cook, there would be no Dieterman. So.
The cookie book.
he's the chef.
So here's what happened was like I applied and I ended up seeing him at like a, not a con, but like a, what do you call it? It's going to be something, it's a very small scale, like what Awaken the Spirits is going to be like, you know, a vendor show, put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vendor event. So I went there and him and his wife and his now big kid, Mason, walked in. So we chatted for a little bit.
Was that like Halloween Town or whatever?
No, it was in Santa Ana at a hotel.
No, but it was called Halloween something, right?
Yeah, Halloween something. I can't remember what it was now. It was super small, but it was cool because all the vendors there were loaded up and selling shit.
Nice.
Which is cool to see, you know, all these people trying to sell stuff for the Halloween time.
Yeah.
And so I ended up talking to him. He's like, hey, we got your resume. Steven's going to be calling you.
Nice.
So I waited a little bit and I just reached out. Hey, dude, just real quick. I haven't heard yet. And he's like, don't worry, we'll get to you. So I got an email. Quick. It was funny because it wasn't your typical. Steven's like, okay, I want to do a quick interview with you. So 3 days later, we do like we're doing now, a Zoom interview. And it wasn't your typical interview because he'd already known my background because I worked with him at Knott's.
Yeah.
So after that, I think it was a week later, he sent me another email saying, okay, we want to offer you a job. And they put me in Midnight Mortuary.
Oh, okay.
So it's a single attraction, but it's the high level scare attraction.
Oh, okay, cool.
And you know, he offered me that, or the actual hayride itself.
Yeah, no.
or one other, I can't remember what, or the other one, a trick or treat maze.
Okay.
And I told them the hayride or midnight are definitely of interest of mine. And I kind of said, well, I'm interested in, I couldn't remember the name. I said, I'm interested in the high scare factor maze. So that's what they gave me.
Nice.
And so, yeah, I'm going to be there. It's definitely different because it's not a street zone.
Yeah, it's a maze.
And it's a maze. And Steven was genuinely worried. He's like, hey, I don't want you to feel like you're hemmed in. Are you sure you can do this? I go, the size of venue does not matter.
Yeah.
I go, it doesn't have to be big, but I'm like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. It's all about,
I can do this.
It's about the talent. It's not about anything else.
And that's what my thing is going to be, is I'm going to help develop the talent. If they need help or if we can change something or whatever, that's what we'll do.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that people really miss is Knott's isn't Knott's for their maze designs and for their elaborate sets and their elaborate facades. Like that's not what they're known for. Don't get me wrong, they have good work, and John really set a high bar for them.
Yeah.
It's really going to suck for them now because he's no longer there. But Knott's is known for their talent, and that's what it boils down to. Is talent.
Yeah.
The raw talent. Like, I've been to mazes that were literally just black walls and lights. There was barely any decor or any theming, and it was still a good event because the talent, it just kills it. So it doesn't matter the size of the event or what
the talent makes any attraction.
That's the reason why, my personal opinion, and I know a lot of people fucking like this place, but that's why I am like, I don't really care for Horror Nights, because their talent's crap, because they're guided to do one thing and they're limited, and it just, that kind of holds them back. They give them scripts and they have to do these specific things, and to me, that's what kills that event. The size of the event doesn't matter. It's all about like the talent.
Yeah.
So when you are at Hayride and you get thrown into a smaller maze, a high scare maze, but a smaller maze, you don't see it as a quote unquote, I guess you could say, a downgrade, because it's not about that. It's about the talent, and the talent the training of talent, it doesn't change whether you're in a maze or streets or anything. You're still trying to mold that specific person. Yeah.
I mean, even though like I have a slider training business, that's my forte, but I can train talent just as good, because sliding is only an add-on to the bag of tricks. It's not an end all be all. You got to develop your character first. That's the priority, so, and there's not going to be any sliding at Hayride. So it's just going to be regular talent. I'm 100% okay with that.
Which is good. It's not all about sliding. It really
it's not.
isn't, because sliding is a tactic. It's not a be all end all.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
So I think that would be a good change.
Anybody I train too, even since I started, is like, hey, you know what? This is only in addition to what you already have as a character. Mm-hmm. This is adding on to enhance your character, not become your. This is not to take place of your character work.
Right.
So I stress that often.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, fortunately, some that I work with now on a regular basis is they already have a strong character. So now I'm trying to bring their slider abilities to that level.
Yeah.
So, it's great.
Yeah.
I love doing it. I mean, I was actually a coach too for a long time. So again, this is one of those things. It's a natural transition
Yeah.
into doing a company of that magnitude like that. You know.
Yeah,
So
you are natural. I mean, it's just a natural ability to guide people.
yeah,
You did it with us when we started.
yeah,
Pretty much, I saw it through my career at Haunt, and as well as you did it through your career. So it's like it's a natural thing for you to lead and to
I think so. Yeah.
people, which I think it's rad.
Yeah. And, being in a management position, you have that thing where it's like, you're going to have people that aren't happy with you, but that's the nature of the beast. Not everybody's going to like you. You do things based off a business standpoint, not because of who these people are.
Yeah. Well,
It's like, I don't, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say the bottom line is you don't work for them; they work for you, and
Exactly.
you work for somebody else, and it has to.
Exactly.
There's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
There's rules.
I was like, I don't care if I don't like a guy or girl. If they bring what I need to the table for my set area, I'll still bring them on. It doesn't matter if I have a personal issue with them.
Right.
I don't work like that. It's like, hey, I don't like you, but you still bring what I need to the table, so that's why I'm bringing you on.
Right. It's for the event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've done that before.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good way of thinking.
You have to.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to be able to separate business from friendship, business from personal.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I've been able to be as effective as I am, and the roles I am, at least from my point of view, so.
Well, I mean, I think we hit everything.
Yeah, we did.
So that's good. I'm excited to see what you bring to the table at Hayride this year. I'm hoping I can get there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
I plan on seeing that event. I didn't get to see it in 2019, so.
Yeah. It's back in the same area now, Griffith Park, but not the zoo.
Yeah, down further, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what it's like.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I'll wait. I'll go towards the end of the run when you mold all these people to proper form.
Well, I'm fortunate enough. I already know some of the talent I have, and I'm fortunate enough to know some of the people will deliver.
Right.
And I've worked with some of them in the past. I've worked with them in the past too, from the list I have. So I'm pretty stoked at that.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your managerial
journey. There you go.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that journey with us.
Yeah.
I hope everybody got good insight, and I want to thank everybody for sticking with us at this point, because we're just kind of talking about our history, and we're gonna bring people on and talk to other scare actors and stuff, but we planned on just kind of giving a little bit of our feedback, not feedback, but our history.
Our background.
Just so that way you viewers know, we do come from the industry, especially me, because nobody knows who I am.
Yeah.
They're just like, who the fuck's this guy? Fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, we're still,
It's like,
we do come from that old time, new time and current still. So
it's funny too, because the last I think it was 2019 when we went to Midsummer Screams, and you were introducing me to a lot of people, and
yeah, that was funny,
and it was hilarious because nobody knew who I was, and you would tell them,
except for a handful. That was it.
A handful of people would be like, "Oh yeah, hey, what's up? How are you?" Or like they wouldn't remember me. "Oh yeah, I remembered you."
Yeah.
Whatever. But it was funny because and that's the reason why we came up with the idea to share each of our stories in history, and so that way you guys know that we both come from the industry and have a little background. So
stay tuned though, because we got guests lined up.
Yeah, so I want to thank you guys. Thank you guys for sticking with us this far, if you have. So we're gonna end it there. So just like and subscribe. Ring that notification bell if you haven't already, and follow us on Instagram.
You can ask us questions there on Instagram too if you guys want.
Yeah.
I mean,
Also,
we both see it there.
Topics. Give us topics if you guys have any topics that you want to hear, or a guest that you want us to interview and speak to. I mean, I think the list of guests that we have are pretty powerful, and pretty insightful, and have a
From
lot
across the country.
all over. So we'll end it there. So thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next episode.